I wanted to start the show on a massive round of applause, not just for you and I, but for our biggest fan, who is Carl's biggest troll. So just before I get going, I just want to acknowledge that we've had Elon Musk messaging us this morning to say, welcome to the next episode of the Punch and Judy Show, palliative mental health care for the lost and lonely. Do you know what? I think I've just found our new strapline. That's perfect. Thank you so much for helping. And I hope you have a good show. Thanks for dropping by. Anyway, for everyone else that's joining us, welcome. Welcome back. Wrong hand. Welcome back to Rick Pursell, who's joining us from Bali, Indonesia. How are you today, Rick?
Doing really well. It's been another day in paradise, as one says, and been chafing at the bit for this conversation. The 2 weeks seem too long, but we're both very busy. But
yeah, we are, aren't we?
It's good. We're here now.
We are. We're very much here. So it's an interesting one because, like, the question, why did we incarnate on this planet at this time? There are days when I don't really, there are days when I just don't know what my model of the world is. So the first thing I'd like to talk about really is, are there past lives and future lives and present lives? Or, I don't know. I just want to acknowledge right from the start that not everyone is going to believe that we incarnate here, though I do have a definite sense of being here. Where do you want to start with this?
By modifying the title just a little bit, because it came out for me on more than one occasion. Why the hell did I incarnate on this planet? While tearing out what little hair I had left.
Wow. And where are you with that right now?
Well, I'm very, very comfortable with it. But you pose a very good question, because it has been suggested, if there is only now, right, only this present moment, which is unfolding and into the next present moment, so without any gap. So there is only now. Then what does that mean about past and future?
Yeah.
Because now is the triune of past and future. Right?
Okay, yeah.
So if that's the case, if there is no past, then have any of us had any past lives?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the future?
Yeah.
Right. So if we create our own reality, then I can understand that, yes, the future is what we are thinking and creating, dipping into the field of potential and manifesting into this world. That then becomes the present, as such. So in a way, I have mixed feelings, but I'm very comfortable because I live in a Hindu society. 20% of the Earth's population believe in reincarnation. Not only Hindus, Jains, Buddhists, and who have you, and a lot of awakening people as well.
Yes.
So, but there's another one that really put a spanner in the works for me.
What's that?
And it sort of makes sense that we could be having multiple simultaneous incarnations over what could be a 2,000 year stretch. Now that makes a lot of sense to me. Right?
Okay.
Because if there's only one of us, then that being is on this planet alone is inhabiting 8 billion bodies.
Yeah.
And having the experience of those 8 billion. And that, multiply that by how many other beings there might be in the multiverse. I could see how we could be sensing those incarnations at the same time.
Yeah, I remember I always had I'm going to try and attempt this in a sort of chronological order. Like as a child, and I can see we've got people watching, so please do let us know what your thoughts are about incarnation, reincarnation, and all that jazz, and purpose and whatnot. As a child, I had a definite sense I was here for a reason. Like, why else would I be here? I can see Carl's wanting his troll back. Give me my troll back. So, yeah, I had a definite sense of I am here for a reason, and that carried on, that persisted into my sort of like late teens, maybe early 20s. And then I managed to let that go for a while and lived almost as if I didn't have a purpose, you know, as if I was free of the idea of needing a purpose, needing to live up to my expectations of myself. You know, I was a very, very sort of ordinary person. Not to say I'm not ordinary now, but, you know, I didn't think about, you know, I wasn't navel gazing all the time. I went through a stage of kind of shutting down to it all. And then I've met loads of people, some people who say you've chosen every aspect of your life. And I've met people who say you've chosen your parents, you chose everything. Everything is all sort of, you know, a divine sort of song like that you're coming to live in. Then I've also like had people talk to me about past lives. I don't really have an experience of having past lives. If I had an experience of anything, I'd say more future lives. I kind of see that. But I do have this feeling that I sometimes see things that is going on as if I'm seeing through somebody else's eyes. So every now and again, I'll be in a little daydream, and then this little vignette of real life will play out, almost like a bit like I'm watching the movies. And for years, I didn't even question it. There would be like these 5-second movies where something dramatic would happen or something very mundane would happen. But I realized I didn't know any of the people in the movies. And then one day I consciously realized that and thought, oh, I wonder if my consciousness right now is actually seeing through somebody else's sensory, like, and then I read this short story, I think called The Egg, that suggested we were all one being living through, like you're saying, a gazillion possible like people at different times and different spaces, so that, you know, not one person has a past life, but like a specific one, but we are all the same thing. You know, like there's loads. I mean, that explains why so many people believe they are the reincarnation of Cleopatra or Joan of Arc or whoever, you know, times ad nauseum. Like so many people say, oh yes, I was that person, but hang on a sec, so was I. So like, you know, maybe we are all that animating force that is connecting everything. They're my thoughts. And I do feel like I can go into the future, and you're right, like if everything is playing out right now in this now moment, and our sensory ear that we've got is allowing us to do it on a step-by-step basis, but it's already happened, then we could technically jump into the future, realize we already know all our answers, and come back. And I mean, it opens up so many possibilities. So my mind dump in 1 second.
Love it.
So I don't have any fixed views, but I do feel more in alignment with, you know, we are all one being.
Yeah, good.
In one time.
Yes. All right. Well, to get the ball rolling even further from this end, I would like to share with your viewers and listeners an expose about you, Louisa.
Me? Oh, God.
This is a completely fictitious, true story. Think about that for a moment.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
We were sitting up there in Cloud 9.
Yep.
Looking down on this little blue planet, wondering what it would be like.
Yeah.
And sensing there was a desperate need for some help.
Okay.
And we would chat about this and decide about it. Anyway, we came to a conclusion that we would both go down and incarnate on this planet and do what we could to help.
Okay.
Right? So we prepared ourselves over a period of no days because there's no time there. Right? And then we prepared to launch ourselves. We were standing side by side, ready to go. And I nodded to you and you nodded back. And then, unbeknownst to me, as I was about to leap off the cloud 9 to earth, you stepped back, put a boot in my back and pushed me off and yelled out, "You
Good
go
luck.
first, Rick."
Good luck with that.
I don't think I've ever forgiven you. And when I was born, I had this big birthmark with a footprint on it. But 13 years ago, we found each other, and
yeah, we did, didn't we?
You are forgiven.
Oh, thank you.
You are forgiven.
But you know what? Like, I'm not the kind of person that just jumps into a swimming pool. You know, I tend to like put my toe in first, and gradually acclimatize to the water before I finally.
Right. Yes. Well, I did notice somebody climbing down a rope ladder.
That would be more me.
Almost 49 years ago. Anyway, on a serious note,
it's like Sarah's actually saying, "I know that did happen," just like that, Rick. So
yes,
Sarah knows
yes,
that. Sarah's joining us. She's saying she knows that did happen.
Yes.
Fascinating.
Yes. So that's not a character assassination.
No, that's fine. I completely claim it all as part of my personality.
Yeah.
I want to play devil's advocate here, because there's like the idea that we've come down with a purpose, that we're coming to do something here. Like, what if I had any purpose? Like, and I have had the feeling, oh yeah, I'm here to make a difference. But if I really had a feeling right now, where I am is actually, it's none of my business what everyone else is doing. And the divine, it's all playing out as it's meant to be playing out. All I need to do is play my hand as well as or as badly as I want. So what happens? Like, maybe in your tableau of how everything worked, I'm actually more of a misfit rather than a central character. Maybe I'm somebody like in your film that's there to kind of play around a little bit.
Yeah. Yay for misfits and black sheep.
Okay.
We finally find each other. I think the soul purpose.
Yep.
But SOLE and SOUL.
Yep.
Soul purpose.
Yep.
That we incarnate onto this planet, or probably anywhere, but particularly on this planet.
Yeah.
Is to raise the consciousness of the human family.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, some will choose to be the bad guy. Some will choose to be the good guy.
Yeah.
Both are needed in this duality, this separateness, which will eventually lead us to the interconnectedness and oneness, that we are all one being. But I think the sole reason that we come down is to raise the consciousness of the human family. And that can play out in any way. It could be a Mahatma Gandhi, or it could be a Pol Pot.
Yeah.
Right? And each is playing their role in helping to establish more and more consciousness on this planet. And if you look at what's happening on a, I won't say a micro scale, because I don't think it is, but if you look at Palestine and Israel today, and those scenarios, or that two groups warring, right, are now bringing human family around together all around the world. Either if you're an Israeli follower or a Jewish follower, or you're neutral.
Yeah.
So you see, this one incident, crisis being the driver of change, this incident is bringing people together.
Yeah.
While it is a horrific scenario, absolutely horrific, but each one of these players is playing a role, like play acting a role. If this will help to raise the consciousness of the human family, I will sacrifice my life. I will be the bad guy. or alternatively, I will do my best to resolve the situation.
Yeah.
And that's how I see it. And I can only speak for myself. Most of my life has been on the path of personally becoming more consciousness, because I see the value of that to the collective consciousness. Right?
Yeah.
And let's face it, we're all curious about life to some degree. Most,
Yeah.
if we have imagination,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
we all want a better world for our kids, ourselves, for the animals, for the species, for the earth itself.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about that curiosity that seems innate. During my 20s, when I was really trying to forget it as much as I couldn't really. It brought me back. That curiosity came back. But it felt like, I feel like a very different me when I look back at how I was. And it just felt like something was missing, like I died, something like a flame inside me had gone out, like that remembrance or something. I like what you're saying about crisis, like the idea from crisis to creation, that something occurs and it does solidify, it does give us that impetus to work things out for ourselves. And often when there is no crisis, like whether it's a personal crisis or anything going on in our lives, we often go onto autopilot and just try and enjoy
Cruising,
ourselves.
cruising.
Exactly. Yeah. So crisis cruising. Yeah. I have to say, not trying to bring on more crisis at all, but I'm quite grateful for where difficulty has come up.
Yes.
Because it gives you all the material to work stuff out, doesn't it?
It does.
Just like a good relationship as well. Like,
yes.
Mr. M and I have some very dynamic conversations. I'm looking over at him now while he's working.
Is that what you called yesterday morning?
I do. We do. He just like bellowed back. Is that what you called yesterday morning? Yeah, we have some. Yeah, yesterday I lost my shit a bit, but but if it wasn't for the dynamic of like being in a close relationship, I would miss out on a lot of things. And I know when I was single, actually, I often didn't check my assumptions with somebody else, but there's nothing like somebody in your life to show you where your assumptions may or may not be right.
Yes.
You get to experience it quite quickly. Sorry, I'm a bit of a waffler today.
No, that's okay. That's fine. I think also, you mentioned it, I think we choose the date, time, and our parents. The date and the time will give us an astrological influence.
Yes.
And our parents will give us the lessons that we have come incarnated to, the challenges to overcome in order to become more conscious personally.
Yes.
So we could have loving parents, or we could have drug addicted parents. Yeah. Either way, we've chosen them, but it's not now in our conscious awareness because we forget all that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a game. Right?
Yeah.
There would be no game to play. So our job is to find all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle. So having chosen our parents, then we may have chosen, our siblings will be part of that package as well. But there's something else that's really important.
What's
and
that?
It's unknown to many people, is that we come with a life purpose. So our senior most purpose is, I'm incarnating to raise the consciousness of a human family, to increase this conscious evolution that is transpiring on this planet.
Yeah.
My secondary one is my life purpose.
Ah, okay.
And most people, because we forget all of this, right? Past lives, what we've decided to, why we've decided to incarnate, then we have to rediscover it again.
Yeah.
Some people go all through their life without finding their true life purpose, their true north. Some people find it late in life. Some people find it very early.
Yeah.
What I'm finding now is the younger people seem to have more passion and more direction than perhaps the older generation.
Yeah.
So our secondary purpose is that it's really important. Find out what your passion is. Find out what your life purpose is. Why did you come here? And once you connect to that, everything starts to align and work coherently to the lessons that we need to learn in order to grow more conscious.
That makes great sense. It's interesting because when you mentioned, like, when I hear people talking about purpose, I've never really thought that we might have many purposes, like the senior purpose or the higher purpose, and then the secondary one. That makes a lot more sense instantly, because I know that, I've always felt a very strong sense that I'm here to usher in or to be part of some kind of awakening, or I don't know. I know I'm here to help humanity in some way. I've always known that. That's always been something I felt. But, it can sound a bit woolly at times. And in some of the ways that I'm behaving, that might not look so obvious. But I think my secondary one is I've got a real flavour for freedom and clarity. And so I now recognize that in my 20s, when it looked like I had a lot of freedom, and it looked like I was quite clear, actually I wasn't. I was just really following the narrative of working like Monday to Friday. I had a mortgage, had a car, just did everything. I was a photo fit of what you do. And actually my life here is really to help people, I think, find their own sense of freedom and their own sense of clarity, and to know how to tap into what's going on. So that model that you've just given me of the two purposes makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah. And there will be other purposes, more minor, of course.
Uh-huh.
But it's interesting because I can recall a time when I was in a pram in England.
Yeah.
And the thought along the line of, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
Right. And most of my life, I felt like I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
Most of my life. And I had not taken full responsibility for incarnating. These days, if ever the thought arises to say, well, you chose to come here, and I remind people, you chose to come here, right? You should take responsibility for that, because otherwise we've got this, I can blame somebody else. I didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
This was not my choice.
I did say I never asked to be born to my parents in my teens. I never asked to be born. You brought me here. You need to sort it out.
And parents obviously get blamed, right? Yeah. And we claim, well, I didn't choose you. You chose me. Well, no, it was the other way around. We choose our parents. This is all from my perspective. So I'm just sharing.
No, I mean, that's interesting because it's quite funny, isn't it? I do remember being really quite sore that I was born and felt really quite irritated, actually, that I've been born here. And I think I've held that irritation towards my parents quite a bit. But in terms of us bringing our children into the world, I felt them calling me. I heard them. It was like I heard, with like one in particular, I really heard this little being calling to me and talking to me. And I had I had rich conversations with all of them, but in particular with one of them, where lots and lots of detail was coming up, and it felt like there was a really clear channel. And I always knew. I said to Carl, "There's another one coming. Get ready." So that really does match the idea that we choose to come early on, and we know actually what we're doing. The three beings that I spoke with definitely knew that they were coming here, and that it was their choice, and there was a sense that they knew exactly what they were doing.
Yes, beautiful. And at the other end of the spectrum, it is possible, and there are Tibetan Buddhist monks that have done this, that we can decide the date and time of our passing.
Yeah.
So that would be, wouldn't that be a lovely story there? We choose the date and time and the location and the parents, and then we choose the date and time that we want to exit this physical form.
That maybe already has happened. Like we may have already come in knowing full well that was going to happen.
It's possible. We conveniently forget it so that we've got a game to play.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense, actually, because I know in the past on some of these shows, and I know I've spoken with you about that feeling that I had a near-death experience.
Yes.
And I remember clearly saying, it's not my time. And whew, straight back in my body. Yeah, it was like there was this, I definitely knew it wasn't the right time and it was time to go back. And there are lots of people who do have near-death experiences, like proper physical ones, whereby they are brought back because they know it's not their time. There is that sense of, yeah.
Yes.
That's so fascinating. I've never really thought about that. I mean, of course, there are people that do know the time and place, and there are people who elect to end their lives, who are able to call the moment that actually happens. And anyone who takes their life is doing that to some extent.
Yeah, and that's an interesting perspective. It's one that I've mulled over a lot, having been in that position to want to take my own life.
Yes.
But
you knew it wasn't time for you, didn't you? Like, what stopped you? Sorry to
somebody else stopped me, actually.
Oh, okay.
But I was sitting on the fence with it, but I did have my loaded gun against my head.
Yeah.
If we incarnate with this purpose and this life purpose, and the associated challenges that go with it,
yeah.
If we are dealing with them and overcoming them and becoming more conscious and more responsible, then I think you could possibly make a choice. But most people are running away. And the suicidal people that I've spoken to over the years of coaching, they were running away just like I was.
Right.
I couldn't stand the pain. I couldn't stand the trauma anymore. I could not see a way out of it. So my way out was to get out of this body.
Yeah.
So then I have heard that when you reincarnate next time, you get the lesson more in your face until you learn it.
Oh, really? So what is the lesson? Is to love yourself through trauma, or to see that?
Well, when I look at it now, that experience was one of the greatest catalysts of my life.
Yeah.
Right? It set me on this path of inquiry, direct self-inquiry, and this spiritual path that I've been on since I was 26.
Yeah.
So without that, I may not have been able to do what I do now.
Yeah. Of course. We've got Owen joining us as well. He's had quite a few power cuts this morning, but he's saying, I'm here. Hello, my beautiful friends. Hello to you, Owen. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. So I'm fascinated, actually. I realize I don't spend much time thinking about the nature of life in the universe, which surprises me because I think I do think about it a lot. The whole idea that, we might have a very predefined script. Weirdly, I'm doing a show with somebody next week on his channel about how we can escape the birth chart. So even though we might choose a birth chart, it doesn't necessarily, it's the whole conversation between, are we fated or are we the rulers of our own destiny?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there? If we've already decided the life we're going to have.
Yes. It's a very interesting one and a debatable one. I think human beings have free will.
Yeah.
And those who are advocates of the non-dual idea that everything is preordained, right? And everything is set in motion, and everything we do, like me now moving my hands, has all been pre-programmed.
Yeah.
Right? That means then I don't have any free will, right? I can't scratch my head. Oh, the people in non-dual would say, oh, that was already laid down, right?
Yeah.
And I have difficulty arguing with that, because I do believe in free will.
Yeah.
That we are creating our own personal reality through our thoughts. Right? It starts with a thought, then we dip our hands into this field of potential and manifest what we want into this world. And there is only one of us. So we're all collectively creating this reality that we experience here on this day, 2023. So if we didn't have free will, then what would be the use of playing a game?
Yeah, I agree in terms of free will. I think that's where my comment, I'm here to teach people how to find freedom from their narratives. You know, like, I wonder if our lives are a little bit like this, a little bit like how we do the show here. So we have a suggested title, like a suggested theme, but then we just show up and see what happens. I wonder if, you know, like when we're deciding our lives, like when it's going to start and end, and a theme, because we've picked our parents, if that indeed is true, which I think it is, because I know our three did, so why not? But like if we've like decided our overall theme, then we are left to kind of work with it. And maybe the cycles of the planets are there just as a guide to remind us and to steady us on our path. But I wonder if that's how it is. Or, you know, will we wake up and realize that we've been in a massive social experiment? You know, like how people go into a doctor's waiting room and then they're left waiting for hours, and you know, somebody might say, right, everyone stand up or sit down, you know, where there are these kind of controlled situations that some psychology student is doing, and they're all behind the scenes observing and saying, oh, look at that one, he got up, or that one's okay to wait. And, you know, maybe, you know, are our lives like that, where we've been kind of set a scene and now we're observing ourselves to see what's going on? I don't know. Fun,
well, what we're describing and talking about is the non-dual realm and the duality realm.
Yeah.
And they're like chalk and cheese, right?
Yeah.
Because one has two of everything, right? And the other has only one of anything.
Yeah, so, if you look at our bodies are made like that, you know, with two arms, 2 legs, 2 feet, 2 eyes, 2 hands, 1 brain, 1 heart.
So in the dualistic world that we live in, and we've chosen to incarnate into, then yes, there's going to be day and night, good and bad, past and future, all of that. But we are infinite beings animating these bodies that don't comply with the laws of duality.
Interesting.
So we are living through and as one of everything, non-dual, while we're in a non-dual realm. So there's 2 stories, but when you meld it all together, there's only one.
Yeah.
Because the duality is an illusion. It's an illusion of separateness in order to play. Because in a state of oneness, there's no relative, there's no there's no comparison, because there's no other in that state of oneness. So there's no game to play. So we incarnate on this planet with a purpose, so that we can play the game of life. We can find an alignment with our life purpose, and become so impassioned and made alive by it, and do some good in the world, while the Pol Pots and the Adolf Hitlers were playing their role.
Yeah.
Right? Which was, in their eyes, doing good from the non-dual point of view I'm playing the bad guy to help wake up humanity.
Mm.
So that way there's no us and them, right? And I have a little morning ritual of appreciation about going through lots of things, but one of them is that I appreciate all humans awakening to their true potential.
Yeah.
And I appreciate all those playing the other side of the coin. So that means I appreciate Bill Gates.
Yeah.
And all those people that appear to be doing not good things, right?
Well, to some, to other people, they appear as like sane.
They do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
Ask any Israeli that's lost a family member, and ask any Palestinian, right? That's lost a family member.
Yeah.
So this is a giant leap for me to be able to see there is a purpose behind all of this is unfolding.
Yeah.
And it is helping us to initially it's bringing us apart and then bringing us together again. And we all have a role on this stage. That way I'm not judging anymore that who is right and who's wrong, whose side are you on, and blah blah blah. I'm just seeing this whole scenario unfolding, and the liberation of that is extraordinary. Now I have put a proviso on that, because I will see some video on the Gaza Strip and I will openly cry at the madness, at the insanity of the human family.
Yeah.
How could we do this to each other? And then I remind myself that we're all role playing on the stage. Right? And that it's not a refuge, but it is seeing it from the bigger picture, I think. And it gives me great solace. Right?
Yeah.
The tears don't last very long, and I remind myself, why am I here? Right? Why are we all here? And every one of us is raising the consciousness of the human family. Which begets a question, if I may.
Yeah, go on.
I'm waffling.
No, don't worry.
And I had it at a retreat once. Somebody said, if that's the case, and they were a little bit opposed to the perspective, and which is okay for me. They said, okay, what about a 5-year-old boy or girl that dies of cot death, right? What earthly thing could they benefit from that? How could that benefit humanity? How could that raise the consciousness of anybody? And so, a hypothetical case, a single mum who's been abused, finds herself pregnant. She's very angry, very upset. And then as she conceives this child and the fetus starts to grow, she opens her heart up. As you know, that happens beautifully for women.
Yeah.
Her heart blossoms from all of this anger, all of this vehemence. It just opens up. And then she has this baby, loves it for 5 days, is just a transformed human being, from being angry and vehement and looking at revenge to being soft and gentle. And then this horrible thing happens where the baby passes away, and she's now even more traumatized, probably.
Yeah.
So this being that came into this little body was here to facilitate the opening of her and giving her the experience of love. That happened throughout the pregnancy. It happened while in the 5 days of his life. He was showered with love. She was filled with love. She was filled with life as a result of this. That that child's purpose was fulfilled. That was the life purpose, to open up a human being's heart to love and generosity and all of those. Now, I know as a parent, that's a hard pill to swallow. But if we do come into this incarnation to raise consciousness, then, and we have a life purpose, we don't know what it is. We don't know what the baby's life purpose is. Most people go through entire life without knowing what it is.
Yeah.
So who are we to judge that baby left the body complete in its life purpose, ready to go somewhere else?
It's
So I'd love feedback on that from everybody.
I'm sure you will get some feedback. To me, that's like every parent's nightmare. They're like worst. I can't imagine it. But I've done quite a bit of thinking about it because, I lost a fetus or a baby at about 3 months in utero. So I had a miscarriage. And I did quite a lot of thinking about, why that happened and how it happened, and really put a lot of the blame on me. Like maybe I wasn't good enough. All of those things came out. So, if its purpose, if it had a purpose, was, to help me go more into my own insecurities, that definitely happened. I came up with loads of different purposes, but of course, we often see things through our own lens first, don't we? Before the lens of, and so, I did eventually come to the fact that, or the thought, or the realization that maybe that child, just wanted to experience the first few flutters of life, or just to experience, coming forwards and then dying in utero. I mean, how do we know? It's one of those mysteries that we'll never really know until, I think, while we're here in this place, how can we actually know anything? It's quite a confusing place. Nothing is set up straight. Like when I had that feeling of the near-death experience, right before I realized it's not my time, my thought before that was like this elation, because finally I would know what the F this whole thing was, that I would have all the answers, that I would see everything clearly and understand the full context. But of course, we don't have that here.
Yeah.
Or, I know there are some people that say they do, and good for them. But I don't get that sense that I have that full context. And so, for any parent that's lost a child, I don't understand. I don't know what it is that, what's the best way to cope with those feelings. I don't know. I have a friend whose son died suddenly, age 19. Didn't know he was passing, and wasn't able to call for help or anything, just died suddenly. And then I've got a very good dear friend who lost her child over a series of years. And sorry, this is one of these subjects I struggle with.
It's a very tough one.
Yeah.
Coming back to the life purpose, I'm convinced that when we have fulfilled our life purpose, right, everything that we came here to do, right, and of course we don't know in this realm the completeness of it.
Yeah.
Right? We're still in mystery.
Yes,
right?
we are.
I can say with a lot of certainty that I'm fulfilling my life purpose, right? But I don't know when my story will end.
Yeah.
Right? I know I've got milestones that I want to achieve before I want to leave this body.
Yeah.
But if it's all set up beforehand and I have no idea what that content is, then it could come as a surprise. But I am convinced that when we've completed what we came here to do this time, and it might be an increment of a bigger plan, right? Then we'll find a way of disposing of these bodies.
Yeah.
And it could be a 5-day-old child. It could be a 100-year-old person. It could be 2 people having a head-on crash in the middle of the desert, both who have decided, I'm done with this. I'm ready to go. Now, do we consciously do that? Because I think there's a lot of unconsciousness around death.
Yeah.
The Tibetan Buddhists can say goodbye to their family and all of the other monks 2 weeks before they depart. And then 3 or 4 days before they're ready to pass, with a keeper, they look after them. Wow. And on that date and time, they leave the body, and the keeper stays there to make sure the being has left the body completely. So that's very conscious and orchestrated.
Yeah.
Right? Our fear of death as human beings, particularly Western human beings, puts a shroud of fear around this whole subject.
Yes.
And then that gets superimposed over all sorts of scenarios. But I'm just seeing it from a different perspective, that when we're ready to go, we will go.
Yeah.
Right? So how does that apply to all the children, 5,000 children in Gaza, right? Maybe that's all they came here to do, to wake up the human family. We're sacrificing our lives to ensure humanity wakes up and becomes more conscious. Right? It makes me sad to think of that. It does. But from the bigger picture, I could see how that could be. I could honestly see how it could be. They knew that their life would be short, right? And that they're willing to sacrifice their life. If this will wake up the human family, I'll go.
It's an interesting thought, isn't it? That I guess if we knew that we were coming back again and again and again and again, I guess, and it, like we can't really be in that position. I mean, like, unless we empirically know, yes, we do come back each time, and you've got like a full recall of every life and everything and all your decisions. In this place of not knowing, it's hard to imagine that anyone would just say, okay, yeah, I'll come down for 5 days. It's like going in for a job, like doing some consultancy, oh, will you do this for 30 years? Sure. Yeah, why not? That sounds like fun. And this one's a little bit of a choppier, this is just a day thing. I guess, from a different perspective, I can see that. But I can't take the judging human out of the way, because it's always I guess it's hard for the people that are connected to beings that come in for a short space of time. Like people that die in as a consequence of medical trials or different things going on. I guess, as like there's I've seen a film about some kind of, was it Prozac? What was that film about, love, in the States, or that series?
Opioids.
Opioids. I can't remember which ones they were, but there was, there are people selling opioids and opiates over the counter, knowing that it was going to get people hooked and addicted and possibly like ruin their lives, for profit. Those people who became hooked, once all their stories came out and the whole wealth of it sort of joined together, then all of a sudden you can see the full picture. But for a lot of people who lose somebody, obviously in Gaza, when a lot of people die at the same time, you see the picture instantly. But for a lot of people that lose someone through someone else's hand or intervention, they often don't see the full picture for many years, if at all.
Yes.
It's a really hard, it's hard being here. I guess that's the thing I can say with any certainty. And it can be a joy being here as well. But I definitely can see it's quite hard being here, and nobody gets out alive. You know, we literally don't, do we? And we don't get out without a sense of loss at some point.
Well, I would contest that. I think we get out very alive, more alive than when we're in the body.
Yeah,
right?
actually,
because you can't kill off an infinite being.
Yes. Okay, I see that.
So we don't die.
Yeah.
This body will stop breathing.
Yes.
And I've already mentioned it in the past. I've had 5 close, loving family members pass away, and each one of them came to me afterwards.
Yes.
And I had a conscious conversation with them, and filled with love and reassuring that I'm okay. No more pain, no more suffering. Yeah. So I don't have any fear of death, and that helps me live my life much more richly and fuller.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have great compassion for people. So I am a human,
of course,
and I have compassion for the children that are dying, and I used to despair quite a lot. What will it take to wake up the human family?
Yeah.
What will it take? How long must the human family endure this insanity, this unconsciousness, before we wake up and become loving and kind and compassionate and all of the 6 heart virtues?
Yes.
So that can be a bit frustrating. There's the toughness for me.
Yeah. There's a couple of because we're coming to the end of this hour, and often we go over a bit, don't we?
Just a bit.
I am again wanting to play devil's advocate a little bit. Who says we need to wake up?
Well, of course we are fully conscious beings.
Yeah.
Right.
And when we all wake up, what happens?
Well, we'll make more. If we're in a human body, we'll make more intelligent behaviors, wiser behaviors. So our behavior will change dramatically. What we're seeing at the moment is a lot of unwise, unintelligent behaviors.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
So as we wake,
and I do a lot of them.
Me too. As we uncover, right? When we wake up, we're awakening to the day. Right? The day was always going to be there, right? And we're opening ourselves to a new day. So our awakening process is we're uncovering the consciousness that was always there, was never not there, or will never cease to exist. Yeah. So that's why we call it awakening, right? So when we are awakened, we will make very different choices, very different. And there will be more life enhancing, there'll be more encompassing, there will be more interconnectedness, there will be less playing out the separateness. So we will see more of our oneness being blossomed within the dualistic role. I think the dualistic universe will still be here for us to play the game of life. Wow. But we could also play the game in a non-dual realm as well. And let's face it, there are multiple dimensions. So what we're waking to or uncovering is the dimensions that are like the onion, these toroidal shapes that surround us, each vibrating at a different level and each as important as another, and no no delineation between one vibrational frequency and the other. It blends in and rises.
Wow.
So that's a conscious evolution.
Wow. What an interesting show this has been, because it's brought up so much, so many different thoughts and ideas and yeah. I mean, it also occurs to me, like, just as a sort of are quite envious of people who've already died. Like, Carl tells a story of seeing William Whitecloud talking and hearing that somebody had just died, and he said, "God, lucky bastard," you know, like the idea that they're not having to go through this anymore and that they can just be in that place of bliss already. You know, and you know, there have been times, like, I think a lot of us have a death wish at some level as well, don't we? And that might be another topic to explore. But, you know, there have been times when I thought, oh, just blow us up already, you know, like, like the thought that the whole thing could end, and have a big clearing. Yeah, there's all sorts of different thoughts here.
We don't,
Okay, so
we don't know, do we? We don't.
No,
we don't know what the future holds for us.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, going back to the original premise, why do we incarnate on this planet at this time? This is a multi-layered conversation, really. Some of the ideas that have come up is that, you know, there is a senior purpose and a secondary one, that we are born knowing and, you know, like almost planning when we're going to come in and with whom we're going to come in. That I kicked Rick out of heaven a little while before I followed him. And that some people are consciously able to, you know, check in and check out, you know, like they know when their time has come as well. Wow. Okay. Any final thoughts?
Well, it comes back to us, isn't it? This is it. If we are creating our own reality,
Yeah.
and we're creating the reality of the collective human family, then it puts the onus on us to become more conscious.
Yes.
Adding to the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And we will move out of this realm, this old paradigm, into a new earth, a new paradigm, a new story for humanity.
Yes.
So my final thoughts was for all of us, just let's keep nibbling away at the unconsciousness and becoming more conscious every day.
Yeah, lovely.
And you will be doing the world and humanity a humongous favor, as well as you'll be filling your life purpose for, well, part of your life purpose for why you came here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rick. I also want to especially thank you for talking about a really difficult subject, because it's very easy for us to talk about things that everyone understands and might not feel triggered by. But when we're talking about things that people often don't talk about, I appreciate that in you. I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you. It's not easy. No. It's certainly not easy. And lots of these subjects are taboo. Yeah. But it's the reality that we're creating now. And if we don't like that reality, let's change our inner landscape to create a new reality for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do about, you know, what's already happened, is there?
Can't change the past if there is a past.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Right. Well, thank you everyone that's joined us, including Carl's biggest troll. Maybe he's gone to sleep. Anyway, lots of love to everyone that's joined us today and everyone that's joining in on catch up. I know most people actually watch this on catch up. We have, like, you know, like 10 times as many people often watching on catch up. So thank you too. Thank you once again, Rick, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. What do you want to talk about in 2 weeks' time?
Well, the other subject that you had that we've swapped over, let's go with that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'd like to have a big thank you for everybody that joins in and who'll be watching later. And if there's any questions you want to pose, feel free to open this subject up. And just understand this. Everything that I discuss is from my perspective. I'm not trying to force anything on anybody. And I wish you a very happy onward journey, inwardly and outwardly.
Beautiful.
Big love from Bali.
And if someone wanted to reach you, they can reach you info@rickpursell.com. Is that right?
That's it. That's
all
it.
the addresses are below in the description.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank
Lovely.
you so much, Rick. If you don't mind just staying behind just for a second after I shut the show down, I'd like to have a little chin wag. But thank you to everyone that's joined us, and I hope we'll catch up with you
Thank
again
you.
real soon. Bye for now. Mwah.
Ciao.